this something that should have been detected earlier over the many months that this had infiltrated U.S. companies, 18,000 U.S. companies? Or was this hack just so sophisticated that you're not surprised that it managed to sneak through?
Yeah, boy, that's a great question. I mean, what we know is it's been there for a long time and it's very sophisticated. I think what we've seen this year is the level of sophistication of these attacks is at another level. Whoever did this, and obviously the US government thinks it's Russia, had immense resources. It's very difficult to stage these kind of attacks. This wasn't some kind of a rogue corner gang or somebody like that, or a hacker in their basement. This was nation state level attacks. So it doesn't surprise me. It does concern me. And it makes me want to make sure everyone is taking care of their security.
I mean, Robert, I've read various statements from companies saying that maybe there was some infiltration, but there's no evidence that any data or information was accessed or taken. How much more is left to learn about the potential impact of this? And now that we know about it, can the damage be stopped? Or what do you recommend companies do right now?
Well, what we've been doing, as you know, we run a large managed security company. We help big companies make sure they're secure. So the first thing we're doing is we're going back into these systems. What people are really worried about is the nature of this attack is that it goes in, uses SolarWinds, and creates really fake identities to go to different cloud services. And we call these lateral attacks. So it's not so much what they're going to do in a specific environment, it's how they're going to create these identities and go to different applications, different servers, different cloud services. So what we've been doing, and what every company should be doing, is diving into those connections and seeing if there's any compromise. It's a lot of work. Everyone in the security business is super busy over the holidays, but you've got to be diligent. You've got to dive into it.
Robert, we don't usually try to pin you down on stock names, but FireEye went from 13 to 25 in the wake of that news, obviously news that affected FireEye itself. And some wonder why the market's rewarding companies that prove to be a point of failure.
Well, I think a point of failure is a strong word. You know, the amazing thing about the security business is there is no finality, meaning there's no light switch. You don't buy a FireEye box or a Palo Alto box or a Herjavec Group service and you're immediately secure. It's a process. And I think what people recognize with FireEye is they could have done some stuff better, but it's a core technology. The reflection in the FireEye stock growth, I think, is more the market seeing tremendous growth next year in cloud services, and all the security companies will grow.
Robert, I'm curious your take on the government's approach to security. And here's the framing of my question. We've seen over the past few years some government agencies attack the idea of encryption, saying that they want backdoors to private companies' encryption. Yet in this SolarWinds hack, we saw that the perpetrators were able to get encryption keys, which to me speaks to the idea that if the government had a backdoor, this is the sort of hack that would have allowed the hackers to get access to that very same backdoor. We've also seen the government kind of banning apps, technology from certain countries. My concern is that if you focus on the countries and not on the attack vectors and on the technologies, you might end up missing other sorts of attacks from companies that seem to be friendly. Like SolarWinds is an American company, but it was compromised. What's your take on what the government's approach to security has been thus far and what it needs to be from here?
Well, first of all, that's an amazing question. Very, very well asked. And that's the root of it. And that's part of what these identities are trying to exploit is these back doors. Look, you can't stop progress and you can't put your finger in the dike in order to stop the flood. This idea of stopping certain applications and focusing on countries, to your point, I just think it's far reaching and it's not going to work. People are going to do what people are going to do. These applications are going to grow. What the government needs to focus more on is protecting their overall systems, protecting the infrastructure and using some of these tools. The problem is the government, like most enterprises, can't hire enough good people, can't hire enough security professionals, and can't do it all themselves. This is one of the reasons we think, and we're so bullish about next year, companies need help to manage and look after their systems.